Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It's Friday. It's June the 28th. I'm doing this really late. I was basically through trading about 1:30, but I had to run out and run some errands, and um, I even contemplated about coming back and doing this today since it was Friday. But I know a lot of you like to compare your work to mine, and I really wanted to come back and see what the market ended up doing this afternoon. I can see we had quite a bit of sell-off here late in the afternoon. This was a great move, and if I'd have been here, I might have even traded some of that. But you know, it's easy to say that after the fact. If I had been here, I probably would have said, no, I've met my goal today. What I want, what I want to fool with. But really, all this was another trading range day, and it started out as a strong downtrend, then a strong move up, and then we kind of got hung in the upper side of the range. And then by the end of the day, we were testing the lower side of the range. You can kind of see that there's a easy to see range there. And if you look at the bigger picture, and that's pretty much kind of where the highs were from late yesterday afternoon that we found. And these lows are back from yesterday morning. So it's really almost the same range from yesterday's price action. So, um, you definitely got to characterize this as a trading range type day. So that's the way I see it. The only way to trade these are to draw your trend channels. And this one was, it wasn't too hard to find the lows, but I wasn't sure where the highs were. If you put it up here, you really never. You might say you got a break right there. It isn't much of one. You got to close outside it by one tick. Actually, if you draw it right across those closes there, you did get a little bit of a break there, and you definitely got a break there. So, but I felt like um, the downtrend started really right here off this. You had a high and then a double top that was slightly lower. So I felt like that's kind of where the down move started, was right off those second two swings there. And you can see we did get a break, and it still kind of contained prices. Then we broke it again and tried one more move lower and then reversed, and it was straight up. So, depending on how you saw this first range, it might have been a little difficult, and this might have fooled you on this one because I wasn't sure. But all you can do is draw your trend line and stay with it, and follow the rules in the other direction until you start to see something different. And there's really I don't know why I forgot to mark that one right there, but there's a short that I liked right there. And you really could have taken either one of those shorts, but I like this one, and I'll explain it when we get there. Um, so let's talk about the trades. I was a little later getting here this morning. So when I came in, prices were right in here, and I didn't see any reason to go long here, but I was, with all that overlap, you had to wait on a good short, and you might have considered shorting there because this is congestion. It's a failed break. It's off the EMA. A lot of reasons why you might have been more aggressive in taking that trade. I didn't mark it, but it's there. But when we broke higher and turned down right here, you had to consider taking this trade. Um, and this was a great setup. You were able to ride this thing all the way down, and the reversal really happened right here. Notice how far these moves were going after the next low, and then this one didn't go very far. Then you finally made a higher high, and then from there we broke out. And you could see it was kind of iffy until here. Um, and this is really kind of a breakout pullback long that I've circled here. But I circled this whole thing because there's a couple of different things going on here. And there really was a failed second entry short there, but it was so close to this high, and I wasn't convinced that I had this channel right, so I just don't think it was a very smart move. And you can see it didn't go very far, although I think it would have given you a scalp if you'd taken it. 98.25 to, no, it wouldn't have worked. I mean, it would have ended up working, but it would have pulled back before you were probably able to get out of that trade. So, I didn't really like the setup. And there was really a short here too, but I didn't like it because we really pretty much had already had a break of what I thought was a break, a couple of them, and then another break, and this was not a very, it's a second entry right there on a smaller level, and you can see it ended as a doji. So I was a little hesitant of taking that one. Okay, I got interrupted there, but anyway, I'm actually going to circle that one in green. This mouse thing, I don't know. I've gotten a few emails that a bunch of you are having problems with the mouse since it's upgrade, so it has to be something with the upgrade. But anyway, but let's talk about the trades. This was the first break. There's a failed, you got that trap right there. Look at that big bearish bar, and you could have even gone short below that bar, or I would have, if you waited on this bar, I would have dropped a limit order back in here a tick or two. But a lot of times on a move like that, you may miss it, and you can see it moved on pretty quickly. But what I did, because it broke above this bar first and then turned down, I just had my stop waiting there, and it quickly moved on down, and I was able to ride this all the way down. And I think I exited right here on this overlap. It was either there or here, but I think it was here because I thought the move was going to be over when we started going higher here, but it did make one more push down, and I didn't take this trade right here. So it's pretty aggressive. It is a two-legged pullback to the EMA and a fairly down move, and we didn't quite have a measured move yet, and that might should have been my clue. Let me show you this here if I can get it. This is driving me nuts. But there's leg one, and if you're looking for leg two, you see we didn't quite get a measured leg there. We still didn't get it, but we were, we were hugging this, and we weren't getting anywhere back near this lower end. So that was a clue that we probably were going to go higher pretty soon. You don't know exactly when. You got to kind of wait on the setup, but that was a good clue. And then I like this short because it's a failed second entry long after pretty much two legs down. You notice this, there's one leg pull back, second leg down, and so guaranteed a lot of traders got trapped there taking that second entry long above that fairly bullish bar, and it turned right back down. There's a little overlap there, and this one didn't quite break out, so once it broke lower, I dropped a limit order, a tick into that, pulled back just enough to fill me, and then it moved on down. And like I said, I exited in this overlap here. And I didn't take this trade, but it is a two-legged pullback to the EMA. We've had a big move down. I just didn't think it was without a clear second entry at this level or some kind of trap. And notice there's no trap, at least not on my chart there. So I just felt it was better, hey, you got two good trades in the bag already. You were late getting here. Just wait for a better setup. So then we make this little failed break lower, and again, that's from the lows from yesterday morning. You can see that. So there was, you were looking for something to possibly happen there, and you get a second entry long there, but again, it's right there near that top, so I didn't like that. And then we finally broke higher, pulled back, and then there's a couple of bounces off the suspected. I drew this trend line right here off of these highs. And we kept bouncing. I moved that line down. We kept bouncing off of it. And so then when we had the little breakout, this is like a breakout pullback long. Notice the breakout, then the pullback, and then like look at that bar right there. So you might have gone long here because of the failed second entry short, and they're almost always good for a scalp, but there was just so much overlap I didn't like it until we broke higher and then pulled back and then got a nicer bar. And I used a stop on that one, and if you used anything but a stop, you probably didn't catch that one because you notice there's a gap there. Quick, easy move, and then we break what looked like the trend line already, and then there's two legs up to a new move, and then notice that little failed break higher, similar here, and then you start the reversal going the other way again. And, of course, this is right at those highs. Notice it was acting as support a little bit earlier during the overnight, but it's been resistance since early yesterday afternoon, and it acts as resistance again. This is a possible short here because of the double top across here and the support area. This is really a double top. It's not a huge double top, but there's that couple of tick break higher and then turn down. It's a second entry. It's really a second entry on a smaller level. We did have the break and 2 legs up to a new high and the little failed break higher. So it was real aggressive, but another trader sent me his chart, and his actual signal bar looked a lot better than mine, and he took that trade, and so I felt like, hey, it's, even though I didn't take it, I felt like it was a good setup. It was aggressive, and looking back, I wish I'd have taken it as well. But being conservative, sometimes you'll miss good trades, but you don't get trapped as much, and so sometimes I'm a little more conservative. But we need to talk about the trade because it is a good setup. So then guess what? We got a new high here. First entry long, second entry long, and there really was a second entry short right there. And if that would have broken below that bar on the same move, I probably would have taken it. But that's a big bearish move down. Remember our reversal patterns. That failed break higher, and look at the last low, and look how far down here. This is way down here at this low. And so going low there with that double bottom was not the best setup, and I think it still worked. If you use the stop, you would have been in at 0550, and no, it wouldn't have worked. It would have come back. So the only way it would have worked if you used a limit order here or here, but otherwise you wouldn't have had enough room. And that's why I'm always telling you, make sure you got enough room, especially when there's a double bottom there. And I didn't like that setup, but when we had the failed second entry long, you couldn't ignore that. You go short 1 tick below that bar, easy scalp, no runners here. It comes back, breaks out, and really there's an entry right here because that's 2 legs up. It's a failed break above these little matching highs here, but it's always, we didn't know that you wouldn't go back up and test this high. So I thought it was better to wait on the second entry, which came right here, and then this was the nice move of the afternoon besides this one, and it's straight down. And then guess what? You got another second entry long here that fails, so another trap, and it's just enough to get you an easy scalp. No runners on that one. And then you got a failed break lower again, and you're making a higher high and higher low, and guess what? That's kind of that reversal pattern again. And I really didn't like any of the setups until there was a long here, but it was a first entry. It was also a breakout pullback, so I probably should have that one in green, but it had already been a good day for me, and I wasn't even sure if I was going to take any more trades. But I like this trap here. You got a first entry, failed second entry. That's a 2-legged pullback to the EMA. It turns up. You're looking for a retest of the high, so I figured prices were going up here. There's a little bit of overlap there, but I still like this to the upside. And, it's because of the trap, and those are almost always good. And they got everybody trapped on the wrong side, and we don't quite have a measured leg yet either. There's your first leg. And so for your second leg, your measured move is back up here above this high, which it actually got all the way to that high. So there's enough room there to scalp out before getting to this and reaching that. So I liked it, but mostly because of the trap. Again, you got your first move up, your first entry short, pull back, second entry short. It fails. It's a nice bearish bar. It traps all those shorts. And somebody asked me about the short here. And that's the first real break of the trend line, and everything's still above the EMA and all the other things, and we don't have a measured move yet. There's a lot of overlap. There's just no reason to be going short right there. The trend is kind of upward at that point, and then we finally get up here. We make a double top, and I made this one green because it's a first entry, but it is a double top, so it's an important level. And that's a big bearish bar. So if you did, and you're way away from the EMA, way away from this breakout area that needs to be retested. So a lot of reasons to think it's going to come back, but it's aggressive. And so, like I said, somebody else asked me about it, about this entry too, I believe. And so it's a nice setup. Maybe that's the one that when I was thinking here, maybe this was it, because they had a real good setup bar, and that is a great setup bar. It's hard to ignore that. Um, and it really is three legs up to a new high and a double top. And so there's several reasons to like that trade, but it's more aggressive. You always want to wait on a second entry. And then guess what? You had that right here. It's two legs up to the EMA, and it broke above this bar first and then turned down, and that's the kind I like, to have a stop waiting there, and it just shot right on through. Easy scalp. Came back and got the runners, but then you got a failed second entry long, and the odds are we're probably coming back down to the low side of the range, of the upper side of the range, and because this is a range type day, so you could have used a stop. What I did was drop a limit order in there. It broke lower, and it pulled back and filled it about a tick into it, I think is what I did, because you had to have room, because you figure if it hits the trend line again and it's going lower, you're not going to go much higher than that. So it took a few minutes to work on down, but once it started going, it dropped like a rock. A couple of 3 points, runners off that, and you exit when it either touches this or goes into this overlap. And you might have even thought about going long here, but I was done for the day and I wasn't here when all this happened. But I'm going to go ahead and mark that. Notice that you got a low first entry. There's a first entry long, pullback, second entry long, and you got that little trap. There's been no break of that trend line yet, though, so it's really aggressive. I probably would have taken that long there. There's enough room. If you used a limit order, maybe. I'm going to go ahead and mark it in green, just since we talked about it. Some of you might have still been trading in and taking it because it's only just around 2 o'clock there. And of course, you get another double top, and look at that move. If you were still trading, this is after 2:30, but if you were still trading, you might have considered that move right there, knowing that we're probably coming to at least here, but boy, we went all the way to the other side. That's beautiful right there. And there is a failed second. Look at this. You got your double top, your first entry long, pullback, second entry long, trap. Could have gone short right there, boom, and that would have got you in it too. So a couple of chances, but it's late in the afternoon, and I'm just not crazy about trading that late, because if you make a mistake, you just don't have time to make it back, and that's when I tend to make my mistakes, is late in the afternoon when I'm getting tired and been sitting here all day and things. So, but quite a few entries today, even if you left out the aggressive ones, and hopefully you can see that it's a clear trading range. It's a big range, 90. I'd call it 95 to 609. So, about 13 points, pretty big range. But we spent most of the day, I'd say we spent, 85, 90% of the day in a 603 to 609, so about a 6-point range. But, that's neither here nor there, but that's where most of the day was at. So, but anyway, that's what I saw today. It's Friday. I'm not going to hang around here and talk about a whole lot. Somebody did ask me yesterday. I meant to talk about it. I did talk about the reversal patterns, but somebody else asked me about the reversals off the trend lines. And what you're looking for is, a signal bar that looks really good or a trap. And so if there's a big move, we don't really have it here. There's no big move. But here's an example. We got this channel working down, and we get up here. Notice that there's no trigger there. I mean, even if it had a trigger, that, even if this bar would have gone lower from here, that's a doji. After 3 little pushes down and several overlaps, so I wouldn't have gone short there, even though that's coming off the trend line. But if that would have closed on its low, I probably would have put a stop there or waited on it to break lower and then dropped a limit order and tried to sneak in with a tick or so better. But it never triggered, and then it comes up here, and then so now you got 2 legs up, and even though you could have gone short there, you're better to wait on the second entry and let them trap some people to the long side. And you can see what happened. Once they had everybody trapped, boom, it was off to the races. Easy move down. So here's another one. Notice all that overlap. There's no reason to take that second entry short. We're not back to the trend line. We're not back to the EMA. Look at all the overlapping bars. And again, once it broke out, then it was there's a pretty good setup bar there, but again, you're better off to wait on that second entry, and then look, it's off to the races, boom. So that's what I usually do. If we start trending back, counter trend, I'll wait on a second entry counting off the counter trend side. So in other words, even though I've been counting off the lows, once we start making higher highs and higher lows, I'll start counting off the highs. Because now even though it's a short-term trend, we're trending the other way. And plus, if you draw your, this is driving me crazy. This thing is just literally not working right. But if you draw that trend line, there's your first break, and look at your retest. And that's what happens on your shorter term trends. You don't always get a new high. You just get a retest that tests the trend line or traps people, and then it turns down. So keep that in mind. Draw those lines, and that will help you a lot as far as knowing when. And just like this move right here, that's obviously your trend line. And then look, you finally get the break, a little move back higher on a retest, and then boom, off it goes. And so draw those lines. That will help you a lot. And let's just see down here at the low, you kind of had that move going up, and then we kind of broke lower there, all in the same bar, and it came up. That's not a very big move, though, and then it turned back down. And that's, so that's the very least you need to do is draw those little trend lines, the short-term ones. And I mean, even this one out here, if you drew this short-term trend line, it was kind of moving up through right there, and then we broke it, retested the high that made a double top, and then guess what? Boom, off it goes. So just always draw your short-term, and it won't always be there, but it's just one more tool you can use, and you can see most of the ones that would have really fooled you, the trend line would have told you what to do. It would have helped you stay on the right side and not get in too early. So I hope that makes sense to you. So that somebody asked me to talk about that, but that's how I do it. And even right there, there's a nice turn off of that trend line, but that's the first touch. This was the first confirmation that the first touch, that we could have turned down and just went higher, and this would have been where you drew it. And then you wait and see. You got to get a touch, and then this is your confirmation, and that confirmed it. But not only that, it's a failed second entry long trap, and it still didn't go very far before you got the break, but it got enough to get your scalp where this one didn't. So I like to wait on those second entries unless this trend is really strong. And if it's really strong, like right here, waiting on the second entry, you miss that move. And, there's probably some others down up through here or down through there. If you wait sometimes on a second entry, you will miss a move. But I would rather miss a trade, a good trade, than, enter a trade too early and get trapped and have a losing trade. That's the thing that I think a lot of traders do, and I'm going to say this and talk about this because I haven't talked about it in a while, and then I'm going to wrap it up since it's Friday, and it's really late here too, and everybody's probably wondering where the video's at. But most inexperienced or losing traders are too eager to enter. First they're scared to enter, and then they finally see a move like this right here, and then they're scared they're going to miss out on it. And they watch it move down a few times, and then finally they say, I can't let this go any lower, and they finally enter, and guess what? They enter at the bottom, and then it starts moving up. And then they're too eager to get back on with it, and they enter here, and they miss, they enter here, and then they're too scared to enter, and they miss the good entry, and so that's what happens. Don't be so eager to enter that you're going to miss a trade. Just like, there were a couple of trades that, just like right here, I didn't get that trade, and that was a nice move, and I hate it. But once I'm not in, I don't let it bother me. I just start watching and waiting, because used to I would get frustrated and say, I missed that, and then you might come back and jump in here without thinking too hard about it, and guess what? Then you get trapped and you say, shoot, and the next thing you know, it's running against you the other way. So don't be so eager to enter. And by not being eager, you will find these traps. By not entering here, I was able to see this trap right here, and it was easy to enter. So I guess what I'm trying to say, the bottom line is there's going to be plenty of trades every single day, and so there's no reason to be rushing to take every trade. There's only, you know, we only want to take the trades when the pattern sets up at the places that we're looking for it to happen, and that's support and resistance. And you may get a breakthrough, but that's generally going to, you know, there's going to be another move back with the trend after that, and that's what we're always talking about. So, you know, be patient, wait on the good setups, look for the traps, and don't be so eager to move. But at the same time, you can't be scared to pull the trigger. If the setup is there off the bar and it meets all our other rules, and going back, like here's a good example, coming back right here, that was the first touch, but that's what really, you already had the trend line because I came off these lows and drug it up. And so I was looking for something to happen right there. But there's not enough room really drawing off of that to get out. So I waited because I know there'll be another chance. And then guess what? There's a trap right there, a long trap. And then I get an easy trade. And this one would have still worked, but I'd had to ride out this pullback, and it may not have stopped. It could have gone back up again. So we follow the price action. We're patient, but when we do get a setup like right here, you know, it's not a coincidence that prices turned at that same resistance area coming down through there both times. And so if it breaks below that bar, that's a good signal that it's going lower. But notice here, it bounced off of it again, but you never got a break. And even if you had this was a 1 bar trading range, which what happens when you break out of a trading range, it usually snaps back. And so keep that in mind. And that's another thing here. Even though, notice that this bar turned down, but it didn't break below that one. That's a signal that, hey, there's some buying right there at that spot. There's some buying going on. But now, if this would have broke below that all in one move, I had my stop there, but it didn't. So as soon as it closed with those matching double bottoms, I canceled my stop and said, hey, I've got to wait. I don't like that setup. It's not doing what I thought it was going to do. And so I was patient, and just a few 2 bars later, you get an easy setup that's a quick scalp. It didn't get a runner, but and then going back up, I had to be patient to wait on the little break, the little move higher, and another trap, and then boom, that was the trade of the afternoon besides this one, which, you know, I didn't take it because I was being patient, but this one moved faster than that one. And so that's the key, is to be patient, don't force trades, draw your short-term trend lines. And when you do know you got it right and you see a setup, don't hesitate, pull the trigger. You know, worst that can happen is you're wrong and you lose a few ticks, and you know, but if you wait, what happens generally again is people sit here and watch it moving up, and they finally say, I can't watch it no longer, and they enter on the next little pullback like right here, and they get burned. So you know, you can't wait too late. You got to take it when it's there, because if you're too late, and that brings up one more thing, and I promise I'm done, is that when you see this setup bar, your entry is no more than 1 tick below it. You can't wait till it gets down here and try to enter, because what usually will happen is it's going to bounce, and you're going to get in it too low, and then it's going to bounce and take your stop out. So don't, you know, you got to enter at the entry is no more than 1 tick below that bar with a stop. If you're not comfortable with that, wait on it to break and then drop a limit order right there at the same place, or 1 tick back, or maybe even 1 tick into the bar. But you can see if you went 1 tick into that, you missed that trade. So you can't be too conservative, but you might want to wait on the break and then drop a limit order. But that feels counterintuitive to people because they're entering with it moving in the opposite direction on. But that's the key to it. I promise you, what feels like common sense smart is the wrong thing to do. Common sense says you want to wait to get proof that it's moving lower before you enter, but when you do that, then you're entering too late. So you've got to enter when the thing is correcting, and the move is down now, and this is the first correction. So that's where you're looking to enter, where you got room, and then there's another correction, and then the real good move coming down. And really, this is just 2 legs down, and you can see this. Yeah, that's driving me crazy. Sorry, but I'm about to get frustrated with that. They're going to have to fix that. But that's 2 legs, but it's 2 legs in leg 1. Oh boy, this is frustrating. And then there's leg 2, and you can see it's really all, it went a couple of ticks lower, but they were just testing that previous low, and that's a perfect measured move basically. There it is. There's 2 legs in the first leg, and there's only 1 leg in the second leg. So that's a measured move down. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. That's 30 minutes worth, more than I thought I would do today, but those were a couple of things I wanted to throw out there and meant to do yesterday. So, but anyway, this is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. Hope you had a great week of trading. If not, study your charts over the weekend. Come back Monday ready to go, refreshed, and start again. That's the only way to do it. You just keep working, and you'll get a little better every day. And hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll see you next week.